I need two things clear. Two things. One is that I'm in a relationship. Two is that I am not going to box myself. I will do whatever I want. I make those two things clear.
You made it clear before you made it clear before the culture thing. You should have told me straight up.
You know, I love to hear them. I feel like if I hear them, it makes more sense than actually having a conversation with someone else about this person. Now, let me take you through it. I came into this house. Being in the shape is not one of the plans that I ever had. So coming to this place is like, oh, I want my... No, leave him. I want...
You see that roundtable Faith had with the entire house members? It brought in a lot of aftermath after the conversation had been had. Now, Big Brother Naija season 10 has delivered many explosive moments, but that round table left the house shaking, like the entire table, chair, furniture, everything in the house got broken. Literally, right? From Faith calling out Dede as selfish, to him telling Mide that she's delusional, telling Dede she's controlling, and practically alluding that both relationships would not see the light of day, or at least outside the house would not survive. Plus also telling Kola to his face in front of Dede that there's going to be a time when he's tired of the relationship and he will just break and not do anything else. But there are different angles to this. We also have a side where Jason is gaslighting Sultana while he was entangled with Joanna. He's trying to get out of the whole thing. But don't worry, we're going to talk about that. And of course, Isabella and Imisi dragging Faith for being too harsh. So this particular episode will expose the cracks, the alliances, the true games these housemates are playing, of course from my own point of view. And as usual, I would love to hear your comments. I always respond. Tell me what you think, if I'm right, if I'm wrong, if you see things differently. And if you haven't subscribed or liked yet, please don't forget to do so while we break everything down. In the first part of today's videos, it's already on my channel. I explained how Faith, being the new head of house, set up a round table and a lot of basbos started happening. I mean, he wasted no time in his role as head of house, calling out Dede directly, and his words were brutal. Trust me, he may not have screamed at the top of his voice, but it was brutal. And he accused Dede of being selfish, saying she takes more than she gives, especially in comparison to Kola, which I think is a narrative that is not so fair. Like, if you look at it from both angles, it's easy to interpret that Dede is controlling, commanding, but I'm not trying to side anybody here. But I know for a fact that Kola has a way of always doing media rounds for everyone. If you check past videos and past activities in the house, when Kola has an issue with anyone, you find him going around telling other people about it. And remember that in previous conversations, Dede has told Kola that one of the things she doesn't like about him is that he's two-faced, right? Because he does something in her front and does something else at the back. So Kola it looks like Kola is giving Dede so much and Dede is not giving me anything in return. But if you can bear witness, I think Dede doesn't really send, in quote, anyone. She's kind of doing her own thing. She has a mind of her own. She's very assertive. She's bold. She's blunt. And I think she understands the reason why she is in the house. So it's just kind of a number of people that are just looking for how to create relationships and ships, because it's a bit difficult. I mean, they're staying together for this long and just be on their own. So, but trust me, Dede is very intelligent and knows what she's doing. But here's the twist. While Faith was calling her, selfish and all that, fans believe that Kola has been doing his own kind of damage. Always on media rounds, constantly reporting. And, there was a period, like if you remember the Aquafina task, I mean, all sorts of game playing was going on there. But in recent times, I mean, we've not been hearing much about Imisi, but we all know for a fact that there's kind of a sibling relationship between Kola and Imisi. So he's always fond of going to meet Imisi to talk to Imisi about Dede and, any other issues. So I'm really wondering why the narrative is that she's not really, in quote, giving to Kola. So giving what exactly? So I'd like to hear from you. Do you think Faith's comments were genuine? I mean, they're basically his own point of view, which Dede agreed to, and every other person, including me, they agreed to, who he also told she is delusional over Bright. And do you think that these comments were fueled by Kola's constant side talks? Because we're human beings and we can, always make mistakes depending on how we perceive certain situations. So I feel like either party is not a saint, but they have games they've played that is telling now on how we, the fans, and other people observing the show are perceiving them to be. Anyhow, Faith spoke his own point of view. At the same time, Dede was trying to defend herself, because initially, at the first video I did, she got up from the discussion and was standing on the stairs. So, looking at her, you could tell that she was trying to think about the whole situation. And I give her kudos for not being brash, or for not blowing up to respond to Faith, or making it into a fight. But there was definitely a comeback, right? And in trying to explain, and I would say defend herself, and try to break down why the situation is looking as it is, Kola stood up and walked away. Now, it is so obvious that Kola could not face the heat, because Dede definitely will say the truth as it is. And Kola shows himself not, and this is why people keep saying he's weak. He's my guy, but I feel like there are some situations he should learn to stand up for himself and speak. Like when you stand up like that and walk away, it kind of makes you look guilty, like you don't have a mind of your own. So this moment left one big question hanging in the air. Is Dede truly selfish? Is she truly controlling? Or is she being undermined by the very man she's supposed to have, that he's supposed to have her back? Because let's look at it. Her relationship between Dede's relationship with Koyin and Dede's relationship with Kola, two different men, in quotes, two friends, but they both treat her differently and relate with her differently. She in turn responds to them differently and relates with them differently. So please tell me what you think. Now, in another part of the house, corner of the house, we have Jason Jae, who continues to stir his own storm. He was having a conversation with Sultana, who I think all this while thought that they were in an exclusive relationship. And he told her point blank that he would do as he pleased and she could do the same. But does this really sound fair? Because the problem is this: Jason was recently under the covers with Joanna. And correct me if I'm wrong, I personally got the impression they were exclusive, because I don't see Sultana, even if I don't really like her, and no offense here, but I don't see her as someone who messes around, at least in the house. So far, she's been able to keep a clean profile in terms of her relationship with Jason, but rather it's Jason that tried to mess himself up with Dede, and of course Dede wasn't having it, and that's why at some point they fell out with each other, and Jason was spreading all manner of talk about her. And they kind of they're both very smart people, but I think he capitalized on Sultana being vulnerable, and because at a point he wasn't even allowing Sultana to really, he's always close marking her, always monitoring her, but yet she can't monitor him, or she didn't want to monitor him, or she just was being naive. I really don't know what to say, but I'd love to hear what you think. But he just told her to her face, which I feel is so disrespectful, and I feel like she's the one that caused it. She put herself in that situation. He told her outright like that, but I've told you, it's in the clip, I told you that, I can't be boxed in. I'm not going to be boxed in. What do you mean by you're not going to be boxed in? But you won't allow her to breathe. Yet you don't want to be boxed in, but you are boxing her in. Where is the fairness in that? And then you come to national TV to disgrace this woman further by coming out trying to say she can do what she wants, I can do what I want, to justify what you did with Joanna. And like I said in my previous video, I blame Jason Jae for what happened to Joanna, because I feel Joanna had better chances of survival in the house. But the minute Jason came with that is under the duvet shenanigan, as far as I'm concerned, that was game over for Joanna. So while Oga, I don't want to be boxed in, is telling Sultana to be free, fans are calling it what it is: gaslighting, pretense, deceit. And it's obvious that he never really had good intentions in the first place. I mean, this is someone that even has a girlfriend outside the house, and Sultana says she knows he has a girlfriend outside. So you know he has a girlfriend outside, and you still went ahead to have a relationship with him inside. If he's not faithful to that, how she could have even imagined this guy would be exclusive with her in the house is even just a funny thought. And this guy is there shifting blame and refusing to take accountability. And don't forget, Jason Jae also has a relationship that, well, I don't even know what to say, because this entire thing is so confusing. Like, the fact that she even knew he had someone outside is even funny. So now it's even raising the stakes more, and it's fond of creating triangles, stirring problems. But anyway, at this point, I believe it's over between both of them. But let's see how it's going to unfold in the coming days. But you know what? I'm not surprised. This is classic Jason Jae behavior. He's full of contradictions left, right, and center. Smooth words on one side and messy actions on the other. Yet again, in another corner, and this is the problem I have with some of the housemates, they don't know how to call issues out one-on-one without raising their voices. You can have logical and critical discussions and just say what you want to say, and that's one of the reasons why I respect Faith. However, his comments didn't sit well with everyone. You see, Isabella and Imisi, they just wasted no time in dragging Faith after the discussion. Left to me, if you are not cool with whatever he said, why don't you face him and say it? Right? No, instead of just talking and all this gossip. But then this is the reality of human beings. Because Imisi probably was avoiding to have an altercation with him because she's had her own fair share of clashes with Faith. And they're both very outspoken people, so she probably had a reason for not even saying much. And Isabella too was also blasting Faith. But then, girls, you can as well just come out with what you want to say and say it. That's my opinion. I'd like to hear what you think on that too. Anyway, so what does all this mean moving forward? Faith has cemented himself as the blunt head of house, unafraid to call things out, but in doing so, he may have created enemies he didn't plan for. Dede now faces the challenge of proving she's not the selfish housemate people paint her as. But will she distance herself from Kola or keep standing by a man who seems to undermine her? Kola on his own walking away, well, I think he's trying to protect himself. But anyway, walking away shows cracks in his confidence. Obviously, he didn't want to have that face-off. And everybody's asking, is he really playing strong or just avoiding being accountable? And while Mr. Jason, the gaslighter, has sown a seed that, well, we are going to see how that will unfold. And with Isabella and Imisi challenging Faith, well, the house is divided. Remember, Zita said something about the house being divided during her own diary session. So the house is now hanging on the edge of chaos. But do you think Faith was right to call out Dede as selfish, and was Kola exposed for stirring things, especially when he does his media rounds, and then walking away when Dede was talking, though she laughed? And is Jason Jae's gaslighting Sultana him just being honest about his stance? Or, I mean, basically, I just want to hear your thoughts, your comments. And if you enjoyed this breakdown, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more BBNaija Season 10 deep dives. See you in the next video.